very on brand that for some reason the mic is muted to start it out there, but it is the Exit 52 podcast for Sunday, March 29th, 2026. First series recap of the year. We're going to be getting into some opening day recap, some thoughts on the new stadium, thoughts on the game itself on opening day. We're going to get into the Shane Baz extension. Then, of course, we'll talk game 2 and 3. O's winning the series 2-1 over the Minnesota Twins. Take a little listener questions, take some Rangers preview of that series that's going to be coming up. My name is Jake Luke. We are brought to you by Jimmy's Famous Seafood, and I'm joined on my screen for the first time for real in 2026, and for real for the first time in what feels like a very long time. Even when they won 2 out of 3 last year, it didn't really feel like they won 2 out of 3. There was always just a looming specter of darkness over the 2025 Baltimore Orioles. Wasn't perfect this weekend, but they get the series W, and I'm walking away feeling pretty encouraged. How are you feeling, my friend?
I'm good. Again, we just got back from the game. It was an exciting one. It was kind of had a little bit of everything. Like, you already had the people. I was telling you off camera, the guy in front of me, like, begging to get out of the Baz contract, an hour into the game, begging for Cedric Mullins to come back. It was a typical baseball game where it was up, it was down. It was, this team's the worst thing that's ever been put together, like, fire everyone. And then it was like, oh my God, this team, they may not lose another game the rest of the year. So that's, as Dana Beers has said, that's baseball. But yeah, it was a good one. Again, it was I missed the game yesterday due to a wedding. So in my mind, that game never happened. I didn't see it. So all I've got is two fun wins in my memory from Thursday and today. But yeah, it's nice to be back, and baseball's back, and here we are, baby.
Yeah, definitely. We'll get into today's game a little bit later on, but I saw a good tweet from Alex Fast that 2025 Orioles lose that game, and I think that's a good a good way of kind of framing this entire weekend for me. But yeah, just jumping into it in chronological order. So opening day, you and I were both out there. We spent pretty much most of the day together. Got together at Pickles, around whatever it was, 10:30, 11 a.m. Buzz was in the air. Weather was perfect for opening day for the first time in what felt like a couple of years. So yeah, really just a perfect day out there. Orioles win that game 2-1. Trevor Rogers on the bump, getting the nod to open the year for the Orioles. Walks 4, Ks 5, only allows 3 hits, 7 innings pitched. Just kind of felt like a good Trevor Rogers day. It wasn't perfect. He was in a couple of jams at certain points, but wriggled his way out of them, and he was a lot of fun to watch, as he usually is. And then it felt like, as much as we'll talk about it with game 3, I felt like game 1 was encouraging in that it felt like they had to scrape it together to go and get that one. Joe Ryan was doing Joe Ryan things. He was putting together some good stuff, but wound up being the difference in some really great base running from Sam Basayo going first to third. On a situation where it looked like any normal base runner, much less a thick chungus like him, might just stop there at second, but keeps running. O'Neill, some nice base running there too, and then just situational hitting with Cowser with the sac fly, Blaze Alexander driving one on, blistering one up through the middle there, and getting the RBI and proving the difference there in a 2-1 victory. So just a really, really fun opening day. Great to get out there. I got to see up close and personal the improvements to Camden Yards. We had talked about it a little bit. You had already seen them going to the exhibition game, so you kind of showed me around a little bit. We got to mingle with some family members of some of the players and stuff, and obviously got to talk to some listeners of the pod and just our own friends and everything, and just felt like an opening day opening day is the way I would say. Just a great day all around.
I still don't Pickles and 771 and whatever is all in there. That was the most crowded I've ever seen it. Like, opening day playoffs, that was a madhouse. I mean, and again, credit to everyone for coming out, and shout out to everybody who was there. That was people. I mean, people were pumped. That felt like an opening day. It's 80 degrees. Everybody had taken off work. Like, that was a legitimately, like, awesome opening day. Again, the weather was Monday was awful, rainy and cold. Tuesday was cold. Wednesday was cold, and then Thursday was 85. Friday was cold. Yesterday was, a little blistery and all that, and chilly. But I mean, you could not have asked for a more perfect opening day. And yeah, again, shout out to everyone who was at Pickles. That was a fun day. And like you said, Rogers, I mean, what do you go, 7 innings? I think you said 4 walks, 5 Ks.
Yes.
4, I don't know. I forget how many hits.
4 walks, 5 Ks, 3 hits, 7 innings pitched.
It seemed like every time we were looking up, there was traffic. There was, guys in the bases, and they were able to get out of it. Again, I'm gonna butcher this. Ravori Sports. He's saying it. My guess is he was talking about today's play too. But Kobe Mayo, I mean, he turned the 2 double plays on Thursday. He had the one nice one today, where he kind of forced Josh Bell. Again, I haven't seen a replay of it, but getting Josh Bell and then making the throw, and that play on Thursday where he just snagged it and kind of spun around Brooks Robinson like. He just doesn't, those are the best kind of plays because you don't have time to think. You don't have time to go, okay, I got to get this here and I got to make that. You just got to go. And that's exactly what he did. And he's looked great with the glove. It's, again, obviously tiny sample size, but yeah, shout out to him. Again, Rogers didn't have his best stuff. I think everybody kind of saw that. But he gutted it out and he got through it. And that's what you need your number one guy to do. And we saw it plenty of times with Corbin Burns a couple years ago. He doesn't look like Ace Corbin, but he's getting through it. And then next thing you know, it's like, oh yeah, he's through 7 with no earned runs. That's, the offense didn't do much until they needed to. And like you said, MLB Network on all Friday was just playing that situational awareness and going first to third. They were pumped. They were giving the O's all types of credit. And, O'Neill, tagging up from first to second, they were all over him, or they were all over the Orioles talking about they're doing the right things and this, great to see and all that. So again, Thursday was very, very impressive. It was a fun game. It flew by, it seemed like, but yeah, they did just enough to win. And like you said, Cowser, maybe last year he strikes out on that ball, doesn't put it in play or grounds to, I don't know, second or something like that. But he was able to get bat on ball, elevate it and drive it. And he got it deep enough where Messiah was able to score without a throw, and that, and then Blaze comes through, the captain of the Blaze fan club. But yeah, Thursday was a fun one. It kind of, it just felt like an Orioles opening day. They win, it seems like every year. So that was it was good to see a lot of encouraging things from that game.
Yeah, no, and I'd say you were obviously hoping for a little more consistency from the offense. It would have been nice to see him come out there and just do a 2024, 11-1 belt to ass type situation. That was a lot of fun. But these Twins, man, they were looking a little frisky this entire series. I mean, Joe Ryan, we know all about him, obviously former future Oriole, and maybe future Oriole. Who knows? He had some very kind words for Craig Albernaz before the start of the series, which is great to see. But he goes 5 1/3, allows 1 hit, 2 walks, 7 Ks. I thought he looked great. And it was really kind of flustering the Orioles kind of front end of the lineup there. And didn't see much from some of the top names like Pete and Gunnar, but it was good to see Adley get 2 hits in that opening day game. That was fantastic to watch him, get off to a campaign that, like we said, is going to be very important. Get into that bullpen there with Funderburk, Topa, Rogers. They allow 4 hits altogether. And just, like I said, just kind of a true pitcher's duel. I think we wanted to see a little bit more out of the offense in total. But again, I'll keep coming back to it. And I feel like the same thing could be applied to what Alex Fast tweeted about with that game. Maybe the 2025 Orioles don't find a way to scrape that one out late on. Maybe they just kind of let their bats stay quiet. They get the hangdog look going, but maybe it's a function of it was opening day and the juice was up and they were having a lot of fun and the weather was perfect, but I don't know if they just gutted it out and finded a way to go get that win. So yeah, just a really, really fun opening day. You're right, man. It flew by. And again, that's something that I won't really be able to fully get my head around. It might take me a couple of years still here, just how quick these games go by when you're in person with the pitch clock and everything. But yeah, I think it was 3 hours on the mark, maybe a little bit over 3 hours, but yeah.
No, I thought it was much. I thought it was 2 hours. I thought it was 2:20 or something like that. It seemed like, I don't know. With the pregame stuff, obviously, but I thought I saw that it was 2:20 or 2:24 or something. Let me see. 3 hours is a long one. Now, yeah, 2:24, 2:24, right on the dot. First pitch 3:11, and then it was 5:30. We were walking out of there. I was like, oh, kind of want more baseball.
Yeah, we were kind of milling about go to Pickles. We went to Pickles. It was crowded out the wazoo. It's funny. We were when we were leaving Pickles initially to go into the game, we were thinking about going to meet up with Banks, who was at the one of the crush tents or something like that. And we were walking, we were inside with some of the wags for a little bit there, shooting videos with Mr. Splash and, getting you involved in all that great content, great camera work by me there. Check it out at the Pickles Instagram page. But we're walking out and we were like, yeah, we could go meet Banks, but it's literally just a sea of human beings. It will take us an hour to get over there if we get over there at all. So we're just going to walk into the stadium. So we did that. And then, yeah, after the game, we go back and the place is just jam packed and crowded there, again. So we decided to go over to old Quigley's half Irish pub and had, a couple of drinks there. That was fantastic. I catch my train back. The train always has a problem coming back. It stops at North Avenue. I'm just, surrounded by some, interesting characters that, after dark at the North Avenue station. I found a nice looking young lad wearing I think maybe a Matt Wieters jersey or something. I'm like, hey man, why don't we split an Uber and get the fuck out of here? He's like, yep. I can do that. So we did that. That's how I got home. So
nice. There we go.
Yeah.
There we go. And then, yeah, again, yesterday I didn't see much. I listened
not a lot
until I listened up until it was 1-0. And so when I got out of the car at the wedding, it was 1-0, and that is all that I knew. So
yeah, it was yesterday was not a whole lot of fun to watch. I will say, like, really impressed by Taj Bradley. A guy that, like, Shaq, I owe you an apology, was not super familiar with your game, but I looked him up a little bit and it's like, yeah, this is kind of what this guy is. He's super promising. He's got all the stuff, but he can get a little wild with it sometimes. But man, he was pretty on the mark here in this game too. He goes 4 1/3, allows 3 hits, 1 earned run, 3 walks, but 9 Ks. He just had the boys in a blender there. He had nasty stuff. And I guess we can get more into that because, I did want to open before we get into game 2. Shane Baz extension. You had actually kind of gotten, some whiffs that it was going to be coming. So I wasn't super caught off guard by it, but it does come out Friday afternoon. I believe it was Jeff Passan puts it out there. 5-year extension, $68 million for the Wizard of Baz coming over from Tampa in the same offseason. They lock him up. Not, an extension beyond his, rookie deal, whatever you want to call it. So they kind of just buy out the 2 ARB years. He's officially locked up now through the 2030 season. So I guess going back to that Friday and then obviously leading into the press conference and all they had to say there, what were your reactions to them locking up Baz here? I know we talked about some other candidates that we'd like to see, and that's always going to be the conversation. And with Gunnar being there, and that's always gonna, you're always gonna get a soundbite from Gunnar and the Boris situation, and I'm willing to talk, but we don't have to talk about Gunnar right now. We can talk about Shane Baz getting the extension. How'd you feel about it?
I was pumped, and yeah, we don't have to talk about that. We saw Gunnar's rep talking to Gunnar's parents, not Boris, but one of his guys talking to Gunnar's parents for quite a long time on Thursday. But we don't have to talk about that. I'm pumped for him. Again, that's how you do it. You trade if you trade for the guy, and again, it was a heavy package, and that was one of the most talked about things when that trade was made. Like, oh my God, they gave up so much for this guy. It's like, well, they obviously really, really, really like him. And again, they like him enough to, like you said, buy out those 2 ARB years, get him paid, which it's a good amount of money. And it seems like whatever they have seen about him, his spin rate, again, with the pitching lab and with the new place in Sarasota, they must think that this guy, that they can untap this potential. And he's been hurt, and it seems like the injuries are behind him. But yeah, I mean, I'm pumped for him. I think it's awesome to have him in. I know Hollander was on the radio the other day, and he's like, every offseason you can't be like, who are your 5? Who are we going to throw out there? Like, what 5 are we going to get? Like, you have some of these guys now locked up. And again, I mean, I'm pumped for him. I know the guys were all pumped for him. You heard him in the press conference. I think Brett said that's the most players he's ever seen at any press conference, like ever for the Orioles. So again, a lot of guys are there. It seems like, Rubenstein said it, we're open for business, and complain about whatever you want, but like, these aren't the same old Orioles. And I know people like to throw that around like, oh, this is still the same. No, it's not. Like, they're extending their young guys. They obviously like Basayo. They lock him up. Shane Baz, they lock him up. They're making trades and things like that. This is how they operate now. It's very obvious that, like, they are pushing things. And again, like, things are going on behind the scenes that none of us know about. None of us will ever know about. So, they I don't know when they started working on this. I didn't hear any, I don't know if anybody asked him, like, when did this come about? I don't know if it was Thursday. I don't know if it was Friday morning or something like that, but it's awesome to see, and again, for the, like that guy right there just said, fact that he hadn't even thrown a pitch for them in a real game. He made 2 spring training starts, 3 counting the game in DC. And, they were like, we see it. Enough is enough. That's what I do in the show. Guys don't even throw a pitch for me and I'm extending them. So that's what we're getting in real life now. So I think it's awesome. I'm happy for him. I'm happy for the team. Again, there's good stuff here. So I would expect more, I guess, to eventually trickle down or more things to happen. But again, they're trying with a lot of these guys, and it like they said, if it works for the team and it works for the players, then it's going to work. Then they're going to meet in the middle somewhere. So that seemed to happen with Baz, and like I didn't even know. It came out that him and Cowser played like Little League together since they've known each other since they were like 10. It's like, how has that not been a story before? Like, how did we not know that all off season? But yeah, I mean, the guys seem to be pumped about him, and how can you not be? And then he makes a start today, but I mean, it's not the same old Orioles. Good for them for getting out ahead of it and locking him up when you can and getting it. I would say it's a team friendly deal if he reaches his hashtag upside that they seem to really like. So.
Yeah, no, it's good to see the commitment. I love that the comment from that guy. It's something that obviously we were clamoring for them to do with Corbin Burns, and I'm not going to bang them for that too much because it's very different neighborhoods as far as the market and everything. And what Burns wound up getting, obviously that was just a massive like market setting type deal that Burns was very much deserving of. This is kind of a different thing. And it's a little bit of a hedge, but yeah, it's a commitment from the front office to a guy, to the young talent that they seem to like. And it was never a conversation or a complaint about them struggling to bring in young talent. It was the commitment to them. It was like making them believed in. It was not just through contracts, but for doing that with guys around them to make it feel like, yeah, this is a winning product that we're going to be investing in. We're going to make you all feel good about the fact that, yeah, one day it is going to be your time. And I don't think it's nothing that all those guys showed up, whether it was, O'Neill, who's kind of back in on his player option, or whether it's Gunnar, who there's all the conversation about, Adley, all these guys, Cowser being there. It's just great to see because, obviously they all are probably hoping for the same thing to happen to them, and to see it happen, and then to obviously hear Rubenstein's comments. And I think the really interesting one was, I've never told Mike no. Like I've never rejected anything that he's come to me with. So like, and obviously you come back to the fact that it came out that they made an offer to Gunnar. Like you got to think Rubenstein signed off on it. You got to think it was pretty substantial. And at that point, it comes down to, well, what's it going to be with Boris? And obviously there are multiple Boris clients on this team. So that's going to be a conversation for down the road, but they're just kind of slowly chipping away at the same old Orioles thing. And I think a move like this really does help with that. And then obviously the more substantial ones, like the big swing to go and get Alonso. And then obviously, even just making the move to invest in this 2026 team by going and getting Taylor Ward as a rental. I mean, it's just all really nice to see. So all good things. And yeah, I was very pleasantly surprised by it as well. Good kind of Friday afternoon news dump. We've gotten a lot of bad Friday afternoon news dumps from the Ravens recently. The Orioles hopefully going to be bucking that trend a little bit.
Mm-hmm. And I like Josh Tolentino here had tweeted it. That was the first I saw it. That people were like, what did Baz do like after he signed the deal? And they said he got right on the Fortnite sticks, and him, Helsley, and Adley were playing. So I know a lot of the guys have been playing. I was told they were up late playing a little bit last night. Helsley and Adley and a couple other guys. So I don't know. They get the guys. I said they're just guys being guys, and like I think Baz is one of the guys. It seems like it. If he wasn't well liked, I don't think 90% of the team is showing up and showing out for him. So it's nice to see again this kind of team. These aren't just guys who like show up and clock in and leave and see each other at the ballpark the next day. Like these guys are like feeling it and the vibes, and they're gelling and all that stuff. So good for them. Again, I think it's a great sign for the team and moving forward. And again, the comments, it's exactly what you want to hear from Elias. It's exactly what you want to hear from Rubenstein. And hopefully we have a couple more of these, with some other big time guys, coming up soon or at the All-Star break or whenever. So, in the off season, right before playoff series, give me some more. So I'll take them all.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, maybe, Derek Shelton wouldn't be surprised to hear that Helsley and Adley were up late, gaming some Fortnite after what we saw today, in a certain incident, but we'll get into that in due time. But yeah, that game too, like I didn't get to watch the full thing either. I had an event that I had to go to, with my mom for her work and everything. So like I caught like probably the first half of it, and then was kind of checking in and out. I got the Masson Plus which, by the way, it seems like it's a good product. There were some massive issues today that we'll get into that seem, to be an ever-present thing, but I was kind of following it on that. And yeah, I mean, I'll be honest, that was kind of a concerning showing. We did have the Orioles kind of open the accounts there in the second inning with Jeremiah Jackson driving in Colton Cowser. Great to see JJ get off to a great start for the year. Great to see Colton, running the bases well there and scoring to open the game. But after that, the offense doesn't do anything. They were anemic throughout. They didn't score. It just felt like it was tough sledding, especially against Taj Bradley there. And it just it never came together for the offense. And it kind of started to swirl in my mind a little bit. The negative stuff starts to come up. And you think back to the 2025 Orioles, and it's impossible not to, because we've just, like we keep saying, it feels like a calendar year and a half of the offense looking just anemic more often than not, and just not being able to pull together. So I was definitely concerned. And, that game, it just felt like the Twins were scraping it together a little bit too. And they opened their scoring up with a sac fly with, Byron Buxton, the fastest kid alive, scoring on that one.
He made that entire run by himself too. That I was listening to the radio. He beat out an infield single. They challenged it. It was a great play by JJ, but they said he was safe by like half a step. He stole second. Then Adley, there was an error on Adley. He tried to throw him out. I think he backpicked him and it hit off him. And then I'm sorry, he didn't steal. He tagged up from first on a deep fly ball to Colton. Colton, nothing he could do. And then he made it to third on a No, I'm sorry. And then Adley tried to backpick him. He hits him with the ball. Ball rolls into center. He gets the third, and then he scores on the sac fly. So that's what speed does. Like he legitimately made that run by himself. So yeah, Buxton's that kind of player. So he will make you pay. So sorry to interrupt. But
no, you're good. I mean, that kind of sums it up. Is that they were running the base as well, and then Royce Lewis homers, and then I think it was Cody Clemens with a single to center field. I'm seeing that. Also scored Lewis later on in that game. So they wind up winning it 4-1. And yeah, man, like, I'm not going to lie, I was a little worried to see an outing like that. Kyle Bradish did not have his best stuff in that game. It kind of, it was kind of similar to what we'll talk about with today's game, but it just felt like he got knocked around a little bit. He went about 4 1/3, 2 earned runs. He was a little shaky at times. He was overall solid, and it hints into what I was talking about in the season preview. I think it might take a little bit of time for Bradish. I know he came back and looked pretty good last year, but like, he's still coming back from TJ. He's still got to pitch a full season. Like, it's not a linear progression path. And it was a cold game. It can kind of just be a tough environment. That first game of the year for a pitcher, we'll talk about it as well. That can just be kind of a tough environment where you're keyed up a little bit and you're trying to put it together. But yeah, no, he didn't look his best self. And I think some of the Orioles, bullpen concerns that we have had pretty much all offseason, they came to bear fruit, I think, in pretty much all of these games. But, we had Cano allowing a hit, Enns allowing a hit, and then Enns allowing kind of an earned run there. But overall, I think it was mostly kind of Bradish having a little bit of a rough start with the 3 walks and the 4 Ks. He did allow the homer. And yeah, the 2 earned runs, 3 runs total. Just kind of a pretty shaky start for Bradish overall, but I think he'll settle in.
Yeah. And again, I heard the early stuff. I heard, he kind of got out of some jams. But I mean, I'm looking at the box score now. The Twins were 1 for 1 with runners left in scoring position, 4 left on base. So, they made the damage quick. They made it happen, and that was it. Like, they got in, they got out. Like, the Orioles were 1 for 4 runners in scoring position, left 11 on base. So again, the Orioles, when I was listening, I think they loaded the bases in the second. It was like a 2-out rally. I think Pete had a hit, his first hit. And then I think Adley walked, and then I forget who was that. Basayo walked, and then Beavers, I believe, struck out, and that was like kind of it. It was like, it didn't seem like they were really able to get anything going from there. And again, I was out from that, but I mean, I think the big takeaway and what everybody was talking about is 16 strikeouts. For the Orioles. And again, Taj Bradley, they had knocked him around. They played him like a Friday night or a Saturday night with Tampa a couple years ago, and they just beat him to a pulp. And I think everyone was kind of like, all right, well, they've done it before, they can do it again. And they had him on the ropes, and they couldn't get anything in, and they just couldn't knock him out. And I know they drove his pitch count up, and then that was kind of it. The Twins ended up getting some, and the Orioles couldn't do anything. They were striking out left and right. But yeah, it seemed like it was kind of And that was kind of like, all right, we'll flush it and we'll get rid of it. Again, when I was able to regroup and got home after the wedding, the thing I was seeing most is Anthony Nunez, the reliever who made the team, on when he was told on opening day or before or whatever. I think he came over in a trade. I can't remember.
Yeah,
I'm trying to look it up.
Mullins trade.
Yes, coming over from the Mets. So again, I know people seemed excited about him, and again, a couple of guys are saying, he's a high leverage guy, 8th inning guy, 7th inning guy. So I know one of the guys, Jacob or Matt or someone asked, I think Drew French, about him and his late inning, could this be a late inning guy? And they were like, Drew French didn't even let them finish the question. It was like, yes, absolutely. Like, this will be a late inning guy for us. So again, I mean, he's a fun guy to kind of keep an eye on. The bullpen, and we'll talk about it later, but it's gonna be an issue. But again, Nunez was able to go 2 innings, struck out 3, and again, no hits, no walks, no runs, nothing like that. So again, even though it's the Twins, they don't have the most potent lineup. They put up some runs today, but good for him for getting his feet wet, getting out there, and he could be a big contributor to this team. We said it before. Every single year they find a guy in the bullpen who you go, who? 1 year it's Felix Bautista, 1 year it's Ynier Cano, 1 year it's Austin Voth, 1 year it's Brian Baker. Like, they just find these guys. They know how to find them. So again, tiniest sample size you could ever have, 2 innings, but it seems like Nunez, could be a guy that they can count on. So they lost the game and it sucks, but it's kind of nice seeing what he could do in some high leverage situations. And it's not like he's pitching in a 9-1 game or something like that. Like, the game was still in reach, and he was able to shut him down for 2 innings. So that's what that, again, not seeing the game, that's exactly what I took out of it. So good for them. Strikeouts were obviously an issue, but everyone strikes out. Like, it's whatever. I think Albarnez said, the guys had good at bats. We just didn't hit anything. It's like, yeah, that's baseball. That's what happens. So
yeah, that's baseball, baby. And yeah, especially with, I think, Aiken's health and, some of the streakiness that you can see from Cano, it's just kind of having a good young guy like that. And Nunez is very encouraging. So I'll definitely be keeping an eye on him. But yeah, just overall kind of a wash of a game 2 there. Like you said, it was cold. I think a lot of people were maybe busy and just a lot of shit going on. So I kind of just you flush that one and move on and just keep trying to win the 2 out of 3.
And again, like you pointed out, again, the guy in front of me today was like all over Baz and was like, "This is who we paid," and he was also giving Gunnar shit. Like when Gunnar booted that ball today, he's like, "You wanted an extension, you wanted more, you turned down an extension, you wanted more money," and I was like, "Brother, that was the guy on Team USA." That's what he was saying. I was like, what are we doing? But again, yeah, like, it's these guys, the pitchers especially, it's their first outing, out. It's cold. It's like a 40-degree difference than what they were pitching in Sarasota. Like, the pitchers obviously take the most time to get, adjusted and acquainted. So nobody should be freaking out about Baz, not looking great or Bradish, not being the Cy Young guy that we talked about. So it's like the pitchers especially, just take a breath and, like, it'll come. It's perfectly okay. It was 40 and 50 degrees the last 2 days. Like, it's all right. Things will turn around. Water will find its level. Like, just let's chill out a little bit. So
yeah, and jumping into game 3, so it is the Baz debut, the much anticipated one, is after the extension, and obviously he was a big trade acquisition, and again, like, we can get it. It's just the type of guy that they have not really traded for a ton. Is kind of the young, high upside pitcher, trading a lot for him with Ike Irish and Lil Slay and all these pieces. He's kind of not the centerpiece of this offseason, but he's one of them. Certainly, he's probably number 2 behind Pete, especially as far as what they gave up. But yeah, he gets out there, he goes 5 1/3, allows 7 hits and 4 earned runs, 4 strikeouts. Those 4 earned runs all came in that very rough second inning stretch where the Twins jump all over him. They get out to that 4-run lead, and again, the worry is kind of creeping in. The 2025 Orioles, is the stink still on this team? Kind of what's going on? Obviously, that's a very stupid way of looking at it. This is a new picture. It's a newly constructed team, new coach. There's a lot of things going on, so no need to panic or anything. But it's like, man, they're down early. How are they going to respond? And we'll get into how the hitting responded, which I think is the most encouraging sign. But Baz really settled in. I mean, like I said, he went 5 1/3. He didn't allow an earned run outside of that kind of rough first inning. And I think Palmer was, speaking on Masson today when his audio was clear. That is, look at me taking pot shots at Masson when I opened the show. That's a tough job by me there. But yeah, Palmer had to say like, yeah, like after he signed that first extension, like the first start, that's going to be the toughest one. And, he mentioned kind of the weird weather and all the shit going on. And Pete Alonso just making an absolute mountain out of the shadows that they had to face. So, I'm sure Shane was maybe a little worried about the shadows and all that. I'm kidding, of course. That's more of an outfielder thing. But yeah, I feel like he settled in pretty well. And, he kind of looked solid. And he dug it out of the mud a little bit. And overall, just kind of a similar to Bradish. Like he got hit around a little bit, but overall it was I think a solid first outing. And you don't want to totally just dismiss what happened there in that second inning. It'd be nice to see him tighten up the command a little bit. It felt like he was missing the zone a good amount. You want to see him get some more strikeouts there on the board. But man, he was touching. I think he might have touched 100 at one point. A couple of different points, and the velocity was there. So overall, I think relatively encouraging sign for your number 3 pitcher.
Yeah, and again, I'm looking at it now. Top of the second. Again, first inning, fly out to center. Byron Buxton called out on strikes. That we'll talk about that later. And then Luke Keyshaw flew out to right field. So that was a quick 1-2-3. And then top of the second, Matt Wallner single. Josh Bell hit by pitch like a bear, one of those. It got his belt loop or something. Yep. Victor Carantini singled. That loads the bases. And then Trevor Larnach single on a ground ball that it like dove by. Mountie dove for it, and then Jeremiah was able to smother it and keep it in the infield. They scored a run. And then Royce Lewis struck out on a foul tip. That guy, but Royce Lewis. Yeah, I'm so glad. It's like every year there's a guy that just kills the Orioles, and this year it's Royce Lewis. And like
2 homers series.
Yeah, like we know how good he is. Like he could, his potential. You want to talk about an upside guy, but he's always hurt. Blah blah blah. And then Tristan Gray double on a sharp line drive to center fielder Dylan Beavers. Bell scores, Carantini scores, Lawrence scores, and then Gray got thrown out at third. But again, I haven't watched the playback. It seemed like a weird route by O'Neill, and he kind of dove, and you probably didn't need to because you weren't going to get there, and the ball rolled to the wall. And again, that was pretty much it. Like you said, after that, he really settled down. He gave up 7 hits, he gave up 4 earned, but he struck out 4, didn't walk anyone. And I thought he looked perfectly fine. Like again, except for that inning. I'm trying to look up what he throw. 78 pitches, 53 for strikes. So that you take that every day. Again, he's right around 80 pitches. In what did I say? 5 1/3? Yeah, 5 1/3. So again, he got knocked around a little bit. The defense that we had talked about, everyone was kind of worried about that it reared its ugly head. But that's like I said, the fact that he was able to kind of right the ship and keep them in it. And next thing you know, you get a big Tyler O'Neill home run, after a couple pitches high and tight. And O'Neill was looking out again. That I did see that on Instagram last night. Gunnar and Banda. Gunnar got hit by a pitch and he was not happy. And so when Banda came in today, I told JoJo, I go, we may get some fireworks here if they come high and tight. But yeah, credit to Shane Baz. It's probably a whirlwind weekend. I saw his parents were at the game. I said, congrats to them. They were talking with someone in a suit. So I assumed that was an important person, but his dad went no shorts, but you could just see how freaking big he was just sitting there. Did I say no shorts? He was wearing shorts. He was wearing shorts.
He was wearing no shorts.
Well, it was cold. Again, it was cold when we got there. And we were sitting in the shade behind home. But yeah, it was I can only imagine the up and down and the stuff going through his head this last couple of days. And like you said, he was able to right the ship and he kept them right in the game. And that's all you could ask for. Again, didn't get the win. I know he was, he got pulled when they were down, but like you said, he helped them keep their head above water, and that was it. So it's exactly what you want from a guy like that. And good for him. He got a nice ovation, coming on and off the field. So just has to feel very good for him. They were able to get the win, and it's not like I'm sure he would not be thrilled answering questions, at the locker after a loss after you give up 4 in the second. But he. Good for him. That was awesome, and I'm excited to see what he looks like going forward. So,
yeah, and it was nice to see kind of the putting a fine point on the entire series. It was nice to see the offense have to dig their way out of a hole. It was nice to see run support, right? It was nice. O'Neill, you mentioned it. 4th inning, you're down 4-0. You get 2 on there. It's O'Neill. He's working the count really well. I think he winds up getting just like 3-1. A couple of pitches high and inside there, you're getting a little worried. Like, okay, is he just going to kind of play this one for a walk, which obviously would have been fine. But man, he just fucking turns on one. Earl Weaver special out to left field there, and that was awesome. And just another guy that you're he doesn't need to have a career year. He's fine financially, but you'd like to see it for the team. And so, as long as he can stay healthy and as long as he can situationally hit like that, where he's kind of, where he's staying on top of things and, not just kind of flailing wildly. And I felt like we were seeing some wild flails early on throughout the season. It felt like guys were keyed up. There was a lot of whiffs in the series, a lot of, non-contact, swinging hard as shit, trying to just force something to happen. Felt like in that instance with that at bat, O'Neill just kind of sat there and waited for the right pitch to come, and he just turned on one and turned the entire tenor of the game, and it only made it 4-3. But that was kind of the opening rally that they needed. So
I will say this too. You talked about turning the game. I think so. Again, bottom of the third top of the third. Twins went down in order. Bottom of the third, again, we're like, all right, we need something here. Beavers lines out to center. JJ gets a hit, came out the womb hitting. Taylor Ward grounds into a force out. Jeremiah Jackson out at second, and then Gunnar pops out, I think, on like the first pitch, and it was kind of just like, here we go. Yeah. And then Josh Bell doubles to center field, and again, we're just like, gee, oh no, that was the Dylan Beavers ball goes up in the air, and I told you right away, I was like, oh, he doesn't see it, he doesn't know where it is. Ball drops, he's on second, and we're thinking, here we go again. I think what changed the game was the Kobe Mayo double play, and again, he scooped that ball, and I don't know why Bell went. I mean, the play was right in front of him. And Kobe, again, I haven't seen a replay. I don't know if he was able to tag him or if they called it, because I think they said he forced him out of he ran out of the base path. That's what Shelton was talking about.
They said, I think that's what they wound up calling. I don't know if they challenged it. It didn't look like he ran out of the base path, and Kobe touched him with his glove, but he had the ball in his right hand. So like if they were calling him off the base path, I don't think that call was correct. And I don't think he tagged him out either. So I think he might've got away with one there.
Well,
but
hey, the throw, and then he fired a BB to first base.
Exactly. Like, he made that play too. So like that was huge. And like he's had a great defensive series. And like, brother, I saw that play go against the Orioles 7,000 times in the last year and a half. So I'll take it. But overall, it was a good heads up play too. I mean, like you're not necessarily even expecting a guy to go there. So to even try and make that play for Kobe, who's still kind of, like we talked about, he kind of, he's had to grow into his sea legs there a little bit. There were some struggles early on defensively, and it's kind of why I was interested when I was talking to Jackson, when we were talking to Jackson a couple months ago. Like, how do you even like work on defense, right? That just kind of feels like something that you either got it or you don't. It's innate, and obviously you can do your drills and your Tom Amansky, DVDs and things of that nature. But it's kind of it feels like something that might be hard to grow into. But to his credit, it looks like he's really growing into it. And yeah, that was absolutely huge because it kind of killed that rally. It sets up the O'Neill homer. And then, you work your way into a sixth and a seventh inning where they score 2 and 3. Pete Alonso with a huge knock. I think his second hit.
Did you see where the ball that where Alonso got the hit? The ball was like a foot and a half in the other batter's box.
It was so far off the plate, and he kind of golfs one up there and sneaks it over. So that was great to see. He kind of opens the proceedings there, and Dylan Beavers with a huge I think that was a 2 RBI kind of shot down the right field there. And it just felt like the offense exploded right when they needed it. And like, that's kind of where, I'm very encouraged with this team. They go on to win this thing 8-6. Like I said, 2 runs in the sixth inning, 3 runs there in the seventh. And then the bullpen, to their credit, they allowed 1 more earned run there between the 8th and the 9th. But overall, you do what you got to do, and you're going to have to win some shootouts. I think even in the idealized version of this team, there's going to be some struggles with the bullpen. I think, it's a pretty solid, good starting pitching rotation, but it's certainly not the best in MLB. And so you're going to have to rely on this offense, who you've invested a lot of money, and you've certainly invested a lot of draft capital and development into, to come into their own and take some accountability and go win games when you're in a spot like this. And like, that's where I walk away from the series most encouraged, is today when the rubber met the road and you were either going to start the year off with a losing record or a winning record, a lost series or won series, they sacked up and they got it done late in the game. And it was just a really fun couple of innings in a row there to watch them go and get it done. And like Alex Fast said, if this was a year ago, they would have found a way to lose it. They found a way to win. And we've got Sean Whipple here in the comments saying the team showed grit and toughness that I haven't seen in a year and a half. And I totally agree. Like it felt like a group of veterans out there. It didn't feel like little boys. It felt like some real baseball men out there that, knew what they had to do, and they went and executed.
By the way, from the looks of my text message, it seems like Duke just lost in like a heartbreaking way, and you really hate to see it.
We got Carol in the comments here. Is anybody watching?
Carol keeps us updated, so there we go. I wasn't even listening; I was just watching the text. Yeah. Again, I know that guy's pointed out right here. Tyler O'Neill again with the nice throw to get Buxton. I saw that we were walking around the team store. JoJo was looking to buy something, and we heard the cheer, and I was like, that seems weird. The Twins are batting. Like, what is going on? But yeah, I don't know. Again, like I said, they look dead in the water, and everyone is saying, "Here we go again." And like you said, they were able to fight back, and again, the miscues. It seemed like everything was going against them. But yeah, it was just big for them to fight back. And again, I mean, we'll talk about. I mean, some of the pinch hitting Adley and stuff like that coming in. I'm talking to the guys next to me, and he's like, "Well, is that if Adley comes in, what are we doing with Basayo?" And I said they're probably going to put him at first for Mountie because Adley pinch hit for Mountie. And again, you want to talk about who had a good weekend? I mean, I forget what he did yesterday, but Adley with the 2 hits on opening day, and that ball today was 2023, 2024 Adley. That ball was.
I thought that was gone. Yeah,
the second he hit it, I go, it's deep enough to score one, and that's good with me. And then I'm like, I see Buxton kind of turning, and then I see his full back, and I'm like, oh, this ball could go. And I start watching the people in the front row. That's what I try and look at. I try and look at the fans out there to see, if they're trying to catch it or what. And I'm like, this ball is still going. So yeah, again, to good for Albie to put him in there and make that move. And it paid off, and he made some nice calls at third at short. Where try it again. Made some nice ABS challenges at catcher. Was able to get some big ones.
What an opening weekend for ABS, by the way. Maybe the most electric addition to any in a long time.
Love ABS. I'm being in the ballpark for these now. I mean, we were hooting and hollering at this guy. That ump was awful. Laz Diaz was awful at second. Blaze Alexander steals a base and just doesn't get tagged. He's out, and then they challenge it, and he's still out. Like, brother, what are we doing?
That was Blaze Alexander has been playing his Dance Dance Revolution, because that was I don't know how the hell he avoided that, but he clearly did. And yeah, they got that one wrong. But yeah, dude, it's so much fun. Like the tapping of the helmet, you got to be quick about it, and that it's like they show it on the screen. It's very fast. It's not like an NFL. Let's take 5 minutes to commiserate on 50 million different angles. It's just like, nope, this is wrong or this is right. And then like the fans just like getting into it and like, yeah, like when it's
like we were we were all over this guy being like, and then again, when the Twins, Matt Wallner, I forget what inning it was, but Matt Wallner had the bases loaded, and he watched a pitch basically down the middle and then tapped his helmet. And I'm looking at it on my phone. I'm like, this is a strike 1,000 times out of 1,000. And I've never seen a pitch that was more of a strike than that one.
I think Palmer and McBen were all over it. They're like, yeah, he's just pissed. Like he just made an emotional challenge. And that's a part of it too. Like if you get pissed off, and you're like, fuck, and then you just like do that kind of instinctively, then yeah, that's going to cost you too. And I think that was their second challenge of the game, right?
Because then he lost it, and there were a couple pitches down the road, and I kept yelling, challenge it. And then there's like, oh, wait a minute, you can't, because you blew it on a ball that was a strike 100% of the time. So like that stuff does come into play. And yeah, again, that guy right here, Buxton, Mountie smoked one to left center, and Buxton was able to run it down. But and I meant to talk about this too, what Sean Whipple is saying. This is about the depth. Like with no Holiday and no Westberg, there's been no drop off from Mayo, JJ, and Blaze. Like you would think that those guys are still in there. I mean, Mayo is producing every time he gets a ball hit to him. He had 2 for 4 today. He had the double. He scored a big run. Again, Blaze had the game winner, the go ahead on Thursday, and JJ, like I said, came out the womb hitting. All he does is hit. So yeah, those guys, that's where this depth comes in. And this is why you don't trade Kobe Mayo or Ryan Mountcastle in November, because, Lamar Pete Lover 420 says you can't have them all on the roster. Stuff like that. It's like, thank God they didn't, because where would they be if they didn't have, Mountie, or if they didn't have Mayo and stuff like that. So, just massive by them. I'm still just kind of looking down the lineup, or not the lineup, but
I noticed you threw Pete in there.
Yeah, well, because I'm sure a lot of the people have changed to Pete too. But
it's very, very magnanimous of you. I appreciate that.
So yeah, I'm just looking here. The Kobe Mayo single to make it 8-5. Again, massive. Dude, the ball was up here and he smoked it. And again, that he keeps doing what he did all spring. He's hitting the ball hard, and those balls have eyes and they'll find grass. So good for
Dude,
him.
if he starts locating balls even like a little bit better than he did, like, and I mean, obviously he had his stretches last season, but like if he can kind of water find its level there, like that guy's swing speed. I don't know exactly what the numbers are, but it looks like he is just gonna rake every single time he gets even close to the ball. So
He had a line out to left field yesterday that I think was 110 off the bat. Like he's a hitting machine, and again, good for him. Again, that was a guy who we talked about had a lot of pressure on him all spring. It was like, what are they going to do with Westberg out? It's like, well, they have a guy who's a top prospect as well. Like this is where the depth comes in. So his bat speed right now on Baseball Savant is very red. It's 74.7. So he's he's up there. So good for, or that was last year too, I believe. I don't know if they have enough data for this year, but again, I'm still just kind of scrolling through. Adley stayed in a catcher. They walked Basayo to get to O'Neill, which was a little strange too. Sure, I don't know. I'll take that any day.
yeah,
And then
he was the what was he, the second youngest Oriole,
yes,
the third youngest in franchise history to be walked intentionally. It was Eddie Murray, then Gunnar, and then Sammy.
and then
Right?
did you see? I asked Matt who was the oldest.
Yeah, Matt
Who he
Wyrick
was,
put that out there initially, just so everyone, knows. Follow Matt.
and then he said,
Jim Thome, right?
yeah, Jim Thome. Yeah, it was like 42 or something like that.
Jim Thome, the oldest to be intentionally walked at 42 years old. What a great feeling.
And then I think Avi had asked, who was the median? Like,
yeah, who's exactly in the middle of that, Matt? Get to work. I know you're not like on deadline or anything, or have anything else going on. So
yeah. But no, and then again, I'm just kind of looking at Tyler Wells was iffy out of the bullpen today. He loaded the
he
bases.
kind of had a rough opening series here.
Well, I mean, he gave up the run, I think, on Thursday, right? I think it was I forget how they scored, but I mean, tough one today. He just couldn't seem to locate anything. Josh Bell walked, Carantini single, blah blah blah. James Outman walked, and again, it was like 15 pitches, and Orioles were up 3, and you're thinking like, all right, let's shut this thing down, and then it kind of went off there. But Royce Lewis struck out. I was certain Royce Lewis was sending that ball to Pickles. Like I was absolutely sure of it. Single on a line drive to center, and that's when we're getting kind of nervous. Cody Clemens came up, strikeout, and then Byron Buxton. Then they brought in Ynier Cano, and brother, you want to talk about a blast from the past? That was old school Cano, and that was a damn yeah. I forgot to say too, Rico Garcia cleaning up Geraldo's mess again. It was just like in Boston last year, where he did the same thing. And he came up and absolutely cleaned up Geraldo's mess. So shout out Rico. Rico Garcia is a dude. That is going to be a guy that I will ride for whenever. And yeah,
I got to shout out
Cano. Yeah, saying it too.
And I mean, Cano looking good in his spot. I mean, like bases loaded, up to see Byron Buxton there. Like you got to punch him out, and just vintage Cano drops it in there a couple of times, gets him to whiff, and then drops it into just the right spot where you get him to swing and miss and hits the pose. That was fucking awesome. Bases loaded.
Here, so it starts out 0-1 sinker, 1-1, 2-1, swinging strike to make it 2-2, 3-2, 93.5-mile-an-hour sinker, way out of the zone, and then Buxton fouls it off, 3-2, fouls it off, fouls another one off, and then another swinging strike, the sinker. So that was a bulldog. That was just two guys going at it. Like that was awesome to see. Again, like I tweeted, Cano, I think, is still standing on the mound, just staring, absolute daggers. So that was great to see. He had
hit him
a
with
tough
the
spring.
he did the chest thump too. That's how you
and he should. And I know Adley was all over him too. And that was just perfect. That was you couldn't have asked for anything more than him. And then I'm just looking down again. Blaze single, Orioles challenge. Blaze caught stealing, was not. Taylor Ward walked. Gunnar ground into a force out, and then the base running in the 8th was weird. I mean, they took the bat out of Pete's hands, and again, Blaze, they ran into 2 outs that they could have made this thing a little more. They could have opened this thing up, but and then in the 9th, you get Helsley coming in. JoJo's like, they're putting bad words on the scoreboard because it said Helsley. I said Helsley's coming in. She's like, who? And she goes, you can't say that word. I was like, well, but I will say this too: the Hells Bells, that it's cool. Again, we haven't seen it at night yet. We saw it on Thursday, but the lights are flickering and they're doing all that stuff. So that was cool. And then, Luke Keyshaw single, Taylor Ward with a nice diving play and left. It was kind of one of those weird in between. And then this is where the fun started with Helsley getting the strikeout on Josh Bell. Half the ball was in the zone, so it wasn't that close. And then again, Shelton gets ejected. I didn't see right away. I'm like, he didn't call it in time, and they gave it to him, and I was like, I'll take that. And then I tweeted that when I'm, on the way home, we're walking out, and I tweeted like, he definitely didn't get that in time. And then I go back and look at the replay when I get home, and everyone's already all over my ass. Like, oh, he challenged right away. And I was like, oh, yes, you're right. I didn't see that. I was driving. I'm not watching while I'm driving with my daughter in the car. And then I tweeted out like, oh, yeah, no, you're right. There was a second tap. There was a second tapper in the grassy knoll, blah, blah, blah.
The dirty
But
mouth.
yeah, right away, because I think I was looking at Adley to challenge it. And
he can do it verbally too, which Palmer was all over. He was like, he might have like said it out loud and we just didn't hear it. But also, yeah, you're right. Like Helsley very quickly.
He tapped immediately and then he kind of walked away. And then that's when I looked at him and that's when he tapped. And I was like, he's 15 feet off the mound already. That's why I was like, oh no, he's right. He's way too far. But yeah, that was a fun ejection. That was a good one. We were just wah, 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 like all over Shelton. So that was good. And then and then the Gunnar error, which was, whatever. I think he kind of just picked his head up. And fly out to Taylor Ward and 2 out of 3, we take that, and the boys are probably going to go home and play some Fortnite tonight. So it was a good, again, like you said, that was a game that they needed to win. If they start out 1-2, it's everyone going, oh my God, they lose to the Twins. Twins are awful. How can we let this happen? It's the same shit as last year. And they, like I said, they had their backs against the wall. This game could have been 6-0 in the third inning. And we're like, yep, here we go again. Pete hasn't done anything. And, what's wrong? I've already gotten the tweets. What's wrong with Gunnar? What do you think? What's wrong with Gunnar? 3 games. There's 159 left. Like, there's nothing wrong with them. So, but again, it's a big one. You obviously want to win them all, and now the Rangers come in. I got this text and tweet a couple times too. 2025 Orioles lose that game 1,000%. They absolutely lose that game. So again, this is one that they needed, and they were able to find a way to pull it out. And the big hit by Beavers, the big hit by Mayo, the big play by Mayo. Again, Pete, I got to go back and watch that Pete hit again. That thing was legitimately was probably thrown behind a lefty in that other box. So. It was a complete game. The bullpen still worries me a little bit, but I have faith in Drew French and these guys. Wolfram looked good. Again, Geraldo did not. But everybody else, Rico Garcia, Cano, Helsley, they all looked really good. So I'm excited, for this next series. And I don't know, that felt like it just felt like yes, this feels right that they won this game because they earned it. And again, yeah, Jabba right here, clutch 2 out, 2 hits, 2 strike hitting. Like, guys were battling. There were a lot of deep counts where you look up and it's like 6, 7, 8 pitches. Again, Beavers, I think about, going down early and then he laces one down the line and they end up going up and then obviously Geraldo gives up the home run to tie it. But these guys, they fought and they battled and good for them and that has to feel good after a game like yesterday where you strike out 1,000 times. And then today you go down early and everyone is already calling it quits and you fight and battle and you're able to claw it out and get a nice opening weekend series win.
Yeah, definitely. Just some listener comments. Got a couple in here from your thread that you put out there. We had you had your what did you like, what did you not like? We had Zamboni with Gunnar stealing more. It didn't work out today, but love it. You kind of mentioned the aggressive base running there. I think that's kind of there's good and bad to it, right? It always sounds great to say like, oh yeah, I want to be more aggressive on the base paths, and sometimes you get caught like you did today, but then other times you get like you got in game 1 where it worked out in their favor. I'm usually more in favor of the aggression there, so I agree. And yeah, it was a little weird late on. It would have been nice to see Pete get that last at bat, but
I just because it was like, man, I was thinking about this last night. I can't stop thinking about you being like, they're gonna go nuts when he hits this thing. Yeah. And so like literally when he came up, I was like, if he hits this ball out, this place is like the scoreboard may fall down. Like they're gonna go nuts out there.
Yeah,
it's between that and it's the I think you should leave. Like we're gonna go. What does he say? We're gonna go nuts in there. We're gonna go crazy.
Whatever he says. Nuts in there. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. I hear this new Pete Alonso at bat is supposed to be nuts.
Yeah, there's a new Pete Alonso at bat.
It's supposed to be nuts. Yeah, no, I think every time he's up to bat now, we're gonna have to take a picture, whether we're watching on TV or at the game. They're gonna go nuts when he hits this thing. And as soon as
we'll have to come up with that edit very, very soon. So we'll have to do that.
Yeah, we'll be monitoring the situation for that. Orioles hit list tracker, which the ad actually kind of reads as like Orioles shitless, Oriole shitless, but it's actually Orioles hitless. Maybe an unpopular opinion, but I think the post home run interview is a little odd. I kind of agree. They kind of cut off the momentum of like showing the dong bong and all that kind of stuff. And then guys are, they're in this buoyant mood. Tyler O'Neill's just hit his first homer of the year, and it's like, oh, let's hop on with Masson and just kind of break down what just went through. I like the idea. I just don't know if the execution is all the way there. Like, I don't know if it's like the best spot for that.
And what was going on with Masson? And again, I was at the game, so I didn't see anything about the broadcast. Somebody was like, have them fix the score bug. I was like, I don't know what's going on with the score bug. It just wasn't showing up or something.
Brother, it was a shit show for like the first half of the game. And like I said, I just got Masson Plus for the first time. I didn't have it last year, so I'm kind of getting used to it.
Mm-hmm.
There's no score bug. The audio is coming in really choppy in certain points. It's just like a blank screen. Like sometimes the Masters has like these billion different streams that you can watch, and sometimes it's just literally no commentary, nothing on the screen. You're just seeing like shots or like a feed of a hole, and it kind of felt like that a little bit, but commentary was still there. There's just nothing on the screen but the game, which is kind of cool and like kind of a novelty. I'd almost appreciate that if they'd make that an option, just like kind of an ASMR type feed. But no, the commentary was still going. The audio was kind of choppy and like difficult to listen to at points. It completely lagged out at one point. I felt like I was, in a K-hole while Palmer was, breaking down some strikeout or something or other. And I was just like, damn, what is going on with this thing? And periodically Kevin's like, yeah, we apologize for our technical difficulties here. So
it was something like legitimate. It wasn't just like we're going to complain and complain.
No, it was bad. It was literally half of the game. There was just nothing on the screen but the game and the audio. So like they had to keep cutting to the scoreboard. Thank God they improved the scoreboard because they had to keep cutting to it to like show where we were at as far as score goes and all that. And I think Kevin was doing his best as far as like pitch count and everything and kind of where we're at. So yeah, that was right. It was legitimately like probably half the game. I think they got it back up in like the fourth or fifth inning. So yeah, rough day for Masson today. But like I said, like Masson Plus has been good. I got it through MLB TV, which I get free through T-Mobile anyway. So I got that, and then I got Masson Plus for the full season. So at least it's just nice that we finally have this streaming option available when for a long time it was either have cable or sail the high seas or whatever you had to do, listen to the radio. So I don't know. Overall, it's just you can't have that, but weather's weird. It's been windy. I assume maybe that was affecting their truck or something was going on. But yeah, it was a bit of a disaster, but they powered through it and they eventually got it. They got it going later on, which is good.
Got it. Yeah. Again, I even the scoreboard today, it was weird because after they scored 4 in the fourth, it went from 1 and then they had it at 3 for a while, and everyone's like, they scored 4, but they only had 3 up there, and like we were halfway through the other at bat, and the guys next to me were like, I thought they scored 4. Did they get another out somewhere? Like, why is it 3? And then it went back to 1, and then it jumped to 4, and you could hear like once they finally put the 4 up there. So again, I think they're still working some stuff out. I forget who I heard this from this weekend. Somebody was saying that they have an entire other fire crew on hand because they're worried about the big screen overheating. Like there's more like people than usual to be like, hey, we have to be here in case something happened. Like they're worried about it overheating and stuff like that. So I don't know. It's something was up, but yeah, that's what they were going. That was the only real issue today was it went from 1 to 3 to 1 to 4, and then so we were all kind of confused, but yeah. That was about it. But other than that, again,
it seems like kinks are being worked out. And like, listen, it's a baseball season. It's not like they have like a full week to get these things ready. It's like they're going to be going like every day, every other day, whatever it is for 6 months here. So it's going to be, I think, a work in progress. And I think just the fact that they are trying, and like I said, I love the improvements to the ballpark. I'm liking the Masson Plus product so far when it is working, and it has worked 2 out of the 3 games. So I will preach patience on that one. And yeah, just kind of an interesting experience today, kind of trying to follow along with that. Joey liked Adley, disliked bullpen. Yeah, I think we've gotten into a lot of that. I think Adley, The bat's pretty loud these first couple of games, for the most part. So it's good to see. It would have been nice to see him send that one out of the yard today, but it's tough. He had a tough throw there today, and it is what it is. But he came in and had some nice relief, a good challenge here and there, I think. So overall, it's I think a quietly pretty good start there for Adley to start the year. So
yeah. Again, I think everyone, I mean, again, him just driving the ball just to direct center, deep center field is good enough for me. And if it would have gone out, that would have been great. But I'm perfectly fine with the end up result. And again, I see the people talking about I'm all for it. I like it. Give it to me. Again, we asked Dylan on Friday night. He said the talk was it's supposed to be a butterfly. And he said, the theme is fly different. And he's like, well, butterflies fly too. So I don't know what the end result will be, but Adley seems to get into it.
I thought Andy kind of did some investigative journalism, and Adley said it was a reference to "This Is the End," the Danny McBride scene or something like
that. That I didn't see. I didn't see that one, but I'll again. Dylan seemed kind of confused, and he was like, "Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of a butterfly, but it's kind of not, or stuff like that." So I don't know if we have like a full on definitive answer, but people, I'm happy that people are asking the tough questions. So
yeah, absolutely. We got PB9J20. I don't know if you saw this, but I'd be interested to know more about the bat Pete used when he got the second hit and first RBI as an Oriole. The very top looks sawed off, for lack of a better description. Yeah, I wish I had the picture pulled up. I'll try to find it here on X. But yeah, it was kind of an interesting. I
didn't even see that.
Pete was gaming today. Let me see if I can pull that up.
Sorry, I'm sending tweets making fun of Duke.
Oh, good. Yeah, I'm glad your priorities.
Wait till you see this play. It was pretty wild.
Okay. I'm not seeing the picture of it here, but yeah, it was interesting. They kind of touched on the broadcast. Yeah, it looked kind of sawed off on the top. I don't know if that's going to allow for a little bit, of a less weighty swing and kind of allow you to get through it or anything. But yeah,
I couldn't really notice anything. I was not on my phone that I didn't see it.
Interesting. Not on your phone a whole lot, huh?
No, I stayed off my phone.
Look at you, turning a new leaf over there. Okay.
I like to stay off from the games, but no, it was a good weekend. It was a fun weekend. Kids opening day is always good. It's a fun time with Joe and the kids, and new crab shuffle. I know JCM just tweeted about it. It's harder, but you're not getting anything by this guy. Like, let's be real.
Yeah.
I did lose the hot dog race, but we all know that that's fixed. But crab shuffle, still got it. Once I start losing the crab shuffle is probably when I'll put myself in a home. So we'll go from there. But
I'm gonna hold you to that.
Do it. Please do it.
Well, that'll do it for listener questions. I guess before we get out of here, we got the Texas Rangers coming into town to start off the series. I believe they'll be here tomorrow. Yes, they will. 6:35 p.m. first pitch. Rangers off to a 2-1 start. They got the series W over those World Series favored Philadelphia Phillies. So yeah, that's interesting. I don't know too much about the Rangers this year. I think I saw DeGrom dealing with some injuries again. So that's, tough to see for a guy who I think everybody seems to like, but just kind of has difficulty. Yeah, PB9. Sure. Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say tag me on Twitter, or just tweet it at me, because I hadn't seen it. So
yeah, absolutely. But yeah, so Rangers coming to town. Like I said, I'm not super up on all that's been going on with them, but we're a couple years out now from the disaster of a playoff series that took place between these two teams, with the Rangers going on to win the World Series. And yeah, it feels like, with them beating the Phillies for their opening day, weekend there, feels like it could be another good litmus test here for the Orioles to see if they can keep things rolling, see if they can win another 2 out of 3.
Yeah. And again, I'm looking, I don't know. I was chatting with Mr. Rutschman and Mr. Mayo today, and I had asked them about, like, are they facing DeGrom? I don't know what was going on. I know he got pushed back because of his neck, but I think they were like, wait, I don't know. I haven't checked that far yet. But it's tomorrow is Jack Leiter versus, again, another Oriole. It seems like every day now, we're back into another one. It's another Orioles debut. Chris Bassett takes the mound for the first time as an Oriole. So I am looking. So it's Jack Leiter versus Chris Bassett, kind of two opposite ends of the spectrum there. It looks like Tuesday, March 31st is Eflin versus TBD. Again, that may be the DeGrom spot. I'm it would be great if they miss him. I don't want him to be hurt, but and then April 1st. So what is that? Tuesday? That's Wednesday. It is Trevor Rogers Day versus TBD. So it looks like Jack Leiter, TBD. And then great point again, Donnie Ecker. Shout out Donnie. He'll be looking to get some revenge. But it is Leiter, Bassett. Who did I say? Eflin TBD, and then Rogers TBD. So again, this would be another big chance to take a series and go to. I think they go to Pittsburgh right after, and we get to see old friend Ryan O'Hearn, and they can hopefully stack some wins and get these series. So today was a nice building block. It feels good. It always feels good to get the first 2 out of 3 under your belt and kind of go from there, work on it from there. So.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a good, fun start. Some things to clean up, but a lot of good as well. So yeah, overall, I'm pretty satisfied after that opening weekend. Got some more unfortunate weather rolling in. It looks like here might not see the sun for another week, which is just brutal for my mental health. But we'll hang in there. We'll try to get through it. We'll do what we can. But the weather temps kind of warming up a little bit, so that'll be good to see anyway, as well. But okay. Got anything else before we get rolling here, pal?
Get out to the ballpark if you can. Again, I think it was only like 18,000 today. It was fine. You should, I would have thought more people would have been out there. It's spring break. I know for my daughter and a couple other counties around the area. So, get out there if you can. Go support the guys, give them a little pump up and tickets are cheap. Again, I got those tickets buying on play today for $33 each. That was incredible seats. And again, they're cheap. So get out there. I think they were saying, I thought there was some Monday through Thursday promo that they're running for like center field and maybe the lower bowl or something like that. I'll have to look into that. But yeah, it's get out there and have some fun and take your mom, take your dad, take a brother, take a sister, take somebody. But yeah, get on out there.
Absolutely agree. All right. Well, we appreciate everyone hanging here with us for a very fun first series recap of 2026. There will be plenty more coming your way as the series roll in. Orioles get the W 2-1 over the Minnesota Twins. That's all you can ask for. Just keep stacking those wins up. We'd appreciate it if you could keep stacking subscribers for us up here on the YouTube. Hit a subscribe if you liked what you heard and you're not already. Like the video, comment on us, tell us what you liked about the series, what you didn't like, what we can improve about the show, what you like about the show, what you like about us, what you hate about us, all that good stuff. You can also direct that feedback to us on social media at Exit 52 Podcast on X, formerly known as Twitter. You can find us there at Jake Luke. That is LOUQUE and at EDITTI22. Also on Instagram at Exit 52 Podcast. Also back on all podcast streaming platforms. We are back on Apple Podcasts. We are on Spotify. It is under a different feed than the one that we had before. So if you're confused and you're kind of trying to find out what's going on there, just look up our new RSS feed. You should find it easily, or you can check out our pages on X there. We'll get it all, pumped out there for you so you can find it. You can get subscribed if that is your method of choice for listening. But regardless of how you choose to do so, we appreciate your patronage. Hope you enjoyed tonight's show. And like I said, we'll be back for more very, very soon.
Thank you. See you.